Hmm? Why? It's just the online version of the lesson. So if you want to scan it, you can. It's fine. So functions, I really like this analogy. Functions are like a vending machine where you put in an input and then out comes an output. So you plug in B3 and then out comes your Snickers bar, right? For any one input, only one output would come out. Okay? So a function takes an input value and assigns it exactly one output value. I'm going to use a different color. I don't like the red. We have 4 different ways. I mean, there's more than 4 different ways, but 4 that we use in math classes to represent a function. So we can use a table, a graph. We can represent a function by mapping it out, or by listing ordered pairs. An equation tells you exactly what the function is going to do with the input value in order to get the output value. So this is an example of a function right here, y equals x minus 1. Generally, x is going to be our input, y would be the output. So this function right here, it'll take an input value, the x, and what does it do to the x? What happens to the x? Yeah, we subtract 1 from it. We take away 1 from it. So it takes an input value and subtracts 1 to give you the output value. How about this one? The function y equals x over 2 divides the input values by what? In the second one, this is our function. X is our input. What does the function do to the input? What happens to x? It gets divided by what?
1.
No. By 2, yeah. See, x over 2. X divided by 2. So divides it by 2 to get the output. Okay, so let's go through these 3 examples. Y equals 4x. What does it do to the input? What happens to the x? Yeah, the input gets multiplied by 4. Bless you. Okay. So when x equals 9, when my input is 9, what is y? What's my output? Bless you. If I plug in 9 here, what would y be? When my input is 9, I put my input in and I multiply it by 4. What does that give me? 9 times 4. Don't remember?
No.
36, yeah, 36. So when my input is 9, my output would be 36. How about this one? What does this function do to my input? Yeah, it's an add, an addition. So it adds. So the input gets added to 3. And again, if I plug in 9, 9 is my input gets added to 3. What is my output going to be? 12. Yeah, 9 plus 3 is 12. Okay, now this last one. We all know what this symbol means? Who remembers what it's called? What's it called, Sharon? You said you remembered. Okay, what's this? Square. Okay, and then, yeah, I was going to draw a tree with the roots. Okay, so square root. So this function takes the square root of the input. And do we know what that means, the square root? Yes? No?
No.
Do you know what the square root means? How we find out what it is? No? Okay, so like the square root of 4 would be 2. Let's see if you can come up with the pattern. It's not dividing. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 25, 5. What does the square root mean? Why did you guess 5?
Is it going to multiply, right?
What did you say, Jasmine? Yeah. So you look at the number inside the square root and you say, what number multiplied by itself gives me this number? So what number multiplied by itself gives me 4? 2. 2 times 2 is 4. What number multiplied by itself gives me 16? 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So what's going to be my square root of 9?
3.
Good. Well done. Okay. Okay. So now moving on to function notation. So the most popular function notation just lets us come up with a name for our function. That's what it's doing. And the most popular letter used to name a function is the letter F. F for function. But any letter could be used instead. So we write our functions, instead of writing y equals whatever, 4x, we're instead going to write this. And the way we read this, we say f of x. That's how we say it, f of x. This would be, what do you think? How would we say that? If this was f of x, what would this be? G of x. Okay. So if f of x equals 2x, f is the name of the function, and x is our input. So it's saying function f in terms of x. And that 2x tells us what the function does. Tells you what the function does. Which in this case, what does the function do to the input? What happens to x when it's put into the function? What's happening to x here? Yeah, multiplied by what? Yeah, by 2. Multiplies so again, f of x equals 2x is the same thing as y equals 2x. Same thing. Function notation, writing it like this, just allows us to give the function a name. Okay. Let's go on. Need a minute? Are you good on this page? Yeah? Good, because I just flipped it. Did you need another minute?
Yeah.
Okay. Didn't mean to change it. So this stuff is used a lot like in computer science. So that's what we've been doing in my computer science classes. We're building functions. So if I want to, let's say, if I had a sentence and I wanted to remove a specific letter from a sentence, I would write, my function might be called remove. And then in my parentheses, I'd write my sentence. And let's say I wanted to remove the letter A. These would be my inputs. But anyway, so let's practice writing these equations as functions. Okay, so this first one, what should I name my function? What letter should I name it? Pick a letter, any letter.
Y.
Not Y.
F.
Not X.
G.
G is good. So G. And what's my input? X. X. G of X equals 5X. Someone else. What's the name of our next function? H. So H, my input is again X. H of X equals X plus 7. Okay, I'd like you to do the next two on your own. Okay, let's go on. So the most common input variable is X, but other letters and symbols could be used as well. So decide true or false. Is f of x equals 3x minus 1, is that the same thing as f of a equals 3a minus 1? True or false? Yeah, true, true. It's just replacing x with a. Like they just said, usually we use x as our input variable, but it could be anything. Okay. Does f of x mean f times x? No, that's false. Even though, when we've been, we write like that, that equals 4 times 5, right? But f of x does not equal f times x. Okay. So h of a means h is the name of the function, and a is the variable used for the input values. That's the variable. So what does f of 8 mean? Well, that just means to plug in 8 as the input value. So if f of x equals x minus 3, what is f of 8 going to equal? Hmm?
3. Oh no.
So what did we say? F of 8 means we plug in 8 as the input value. What is my input value in this? F of x equals x minus 3. X. So that means I plug in 8 for x. So f of 8 equals 8 minus 3, which equals what? Good. Okay. Let's do some more practice. So f of x equals 5x. Now we want to evaluate f of 4. So what does f of 4 mean I do? What do I do? Yeah, I just plug it in. I plug it in for x. So f of 4 equals 5 times 4. 5 times 4 equals what? So if f of t equals t plus 2, evaluate f of 4. What does that mean?
4, 6.
Yeah, I plug in 4 for t, so 4 plus 2 is 6. Now the next one, f of a equals a squared plus 3a plus 1. Evaluate f of 4. So f of 4 would equal, what would I do? 4? Yeah. And then 3 what? There you go. 3 times 4 plus 1. Yeah. So what's 4 to the second power, 4 squared? Hmm? And then what's 3 times 4? 12 plus 1. 16 plus 12 plus 1? Yeah. 29. Then f of x equals 4x minus 3. Means I plug in 4 for x. 4 times 4 again is what? Yeah, 16 minus 3 equals 13. So like in this one, if a function has more than one term with a variable, make sure that you plug your input value into each one. Okay. All right, and then these 4 questions, those are for you. The first 2 are true, false. And then the second, and then the number 3 and 4 are like these that we just did. So you've got 10 minutes to do 4 problems. You could probably finish those in like 4 minutes, and then you can look at your phone for the rest of the time if you want. Or talk to each other like human beings.